Alright, so I'm going to be taking a junk console, which will be this DSI LL. This is part of a junk lot, so what I'm going to do is, well, see if it needs repairing, if there's any repairs I can do on it, test all the components, and fully disassemble it. So, I don't know what's wrong with this. There probably is a little note on the front. See if it has any goodies. No goodies. So, let's see what we got. Japanese bent game card pins. Digitizer won't calibrate. Okay. 2 hardware level faults. So let's just see how bad it is. I'll check the game card slot. A lot of it will be I'll probably have to... Oh yeah, that's bad. You can probably see them in there. They're mangled. Alright. So I won't be able to put my tester cart in there. Not easily, at least. It is unlaunched, of course. 3DS. What the heck? Okay. Let me get my notes going for this console. I'll need to note that it is unlaunched. Will it launch into the English patch? Yes, it will. So unlike my other 2 consoles, this one is fine. So... white... DSILL. Let me boot into the original launcher, which will be 007. Oh, it's either the English or the Japanese. Go into the system settings. Oh, interesting. Okay, I can't boot into the Japanese system settings. Can I go into a Japanese? Okay. Maybe it's because I didn't set up a profile? And I see what they mean by being unable to calibrate it. Oh, I was able to get it to go. And I mean, at least so far it seems to be okay. I wonder if there's just a dead zone on it. And I might not be able to go into system settings because there wasn't a profile set up. It's sort of like... This is all in English. So, oh yeah, I did boot the English launcher because that was a 45. The 4A is a Japanese. There we go. Okay. Later. Okay. Okay. It's running 1.4.5J. Yeah, that does line up with what I understand. I was doing some NAND work recently, so I kind of have a better understanding of everything. Flipnote Studio is not on here, so I'm unable to really test the touchscreen. Since the game card slot's mangled, I actually should be able to run it off of an SD card, actually. Hang on, since it's unlaunched. Should be able to just slot my R4 card into here. My R4 card, SD card. Heck yeah, look at that. Okay, so this is the application I want. Okay, so I'm just going to be testing a touchscreen. I'll do a perimeter around. Interesting. Okay, so it's really not drawing in that zone. But I would hardly call that a, like, bad digitizer. It's just not calibrated, which apparently the person who had this before me was having a hard time calibrating it, so not to say that that zone is completely, like, inoperable, per se. But let's just see. If I can calibrate it now, if that changes anything. The fact that I have to do this multiple times, like it's going around in this rotation, really does imply that this digitizer is probably bad. It's not grabbing the zone over here for some reason. Yeah, so I will agree that this digitizer is indeed bad. I'm just gonna put an X on it just to sort of tell me that there's something wrong here. And I mean, there's a pretty... Is that a scratch? No, that's a smudge. I mean... It's okay physical shape, but if it's not grabbing the left-hand side, I'm not really going to be able to do anything with it. Okay, so let me... I really should have checked the other consoles to see if they were unlaunched as well. So I technically could run all of my system tests, since I'm sort of bypassing the game card slot, but the game card slot is one of the tests. So it would behoove me not to just take a moment and repair that game card slot. Now, this will be a little tedious. But what I need to do is... And it had a battery in it. I guess that's kind of fun. I didn't even... I just realized that right now. That I didn't have to put a battery in it. Aftermarket. Rechargeable. Another 200 or 2000 milliamp battery. Woohoo. Totally not 200 or 2000 milliamp hours, but I mean, whatever. Okay, so let me just disassemble this down to the motherboard, and I can get the motherboard out. It's a bit of shame about the touchscreen, but touchscreens are consumable. I'm guessing maybe just that entire zone on that left-hand side is dead. I don't think I've ever seen that, but being unable to calibrate kind of gives it away. I could try calibrating it on another console to see if it's a motherboard-based issue. I've never heard of that, where it can't be calibrated, but I mean... more than open to the idea of something being different. Alright, yeah, I should always be open to the idea of a fault I've never seen. If the board doesn't, if the board has water damage, I would maybe believe that theory a little more. I really have no reason to believe it right now. You know what, let me just take off all of the screw covers now that I'm thinking about it. And then I also want to get the motherboard serial number, write down that it has a language patcher on it. Kind of wondering if all of my junk consoles had a unlaunched language patcher on it. Well, I have dealt with American consoles, and there'd be really no rational reason to put a language patcher on them. I'm pretty sure the Japanese consoles that I already opened were in Japanese. And I mean, unlaunch could be set to their default launcher, and I would have just didn't notice. Usually I can tell if it's unlaunched if it just takes a little longer to boot than usual. But, I mean, that might only be for the language patcher that it just takes a second to be rerouted. Okay. Oh, I did rip it. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, oh well. It wasn't giving up this corner for some reason. Happens sometimes. Oh well. Alright. I'm gonna grab a little pill container. Oh, I dropped those into my DSI. On my DSI Excel. Oh, should be the right ones. Oh no, I only pulled one off. You know what? Those exist as DSI. I think they're the same size. Okay, grab the feet. The feet are entirely different. Screws felt like they haven't been taken out before. So I think this will be the first time this thing's been opened. And it looks really good in here. Yeah, those pins are just mangled. See if I can get a good focus on it. Some of those are just really bad. I would say all but maybe 3 of them. Removing them isn't too difficult. Putting them in isn't very difficult either. It's just a little time consuming. So I'm kind of wondering if I should just pull this apart and set it aside, maybe. I'll work on it for a little bit. It's just going to take a long time to get all these pins repaired. Or completely replaced. I'd rather not swap out the slot if I don't have to, because I do have enough game cards slots with good pins in them. The mechanism is okay. Which I guess I can try to check. Oh, no, the mechanism doesn't work. So, I'm looking in the mechanism. There should be a little metal bar inside this little piece right here, inside this little, like, tab. There isn't. So, this game card slot's... I have to replace the whole slot. Oh, that's fun. I've only ever done that, like, once. And the last time I did it, I ripped some traces. So, the only way I think I can do this is if I... I need to pull all the pins out, just because then I can sort of heat these 2 points and just sort of pry it up a little bit at a time. So this will be somewhat involved. So I need to get some stuff out of my way here. I'll try another bottom screen in this console just to make sure there isn't an issue with the, like, how the console registers touch. I have a bunch of screens right off to my left, so that will work out. Like, I've tried, I just don't think I have the means of heating all of these pins at once. Like, I could probably heat the center and it will get most of these pins, but all of these will solidify. I just don't have, like, a heat plate that I can just set this on, let it heat up, and then just pop it off. That would be too easy. So what I think I need to do first, I will get the motherboard serial number and just note that it is unlaunched and language patched. And if I get more comfortable navigating the NAND, I think I can just remove all this garbage. Like, what the hell was that 3DS thing doing on the NAND? So, we'll see. Language patched. Fund game card slot. Okay. So I need to get all these pens out. A couple of them are still good. I could probably recycle a couple of them. Like, let me look at them again. I don't know how well my poor camera is going to try and... So let me grab a pointing utensil. Those two look good. The two right there look pretty good as well. They're straight up and down. A couple of those are kind of leaning, so I'm just going to get rid of them. I might be able to determine that as I'm pulling them out. I might not be able to determine that as I'm pulling them out. It's going to be a little hard to say. If I just have to junk on them all, that's, I mean, it's okay with me. I probably need to put up my, or get my bigger solder iron tip. So I need to kind of set up my iron here. I was using sort of my micro precision tip for the charge port, which actually worked out pretty well there. I really need to get another station that I can connect this independently so I don't have to swap tips. Or swap, like, handles, I guess you would call them. And I need to do something about these two screens. They're just gonna get damaged if I keep them here. Put them right over there. I need to assemble them in a blue DSi console, or Excel console, and get them ready for testing. I reordered a new tip because my one angled tip went bad. Use a chisel. I don't have my water bottle on me. I need to go grab that so I can water my sponge. Try and move my light for it to be a little more usable for me. And then it will just be sort of unceremoniously heating them up and just sort of prying them out. This might take a little while, as I've kind of stated a few times. So I can't really get behind those pins very well, so I have to sort of lever them out with a sewing needle. This is going pretty fast. Hopefully I'm not ripping traces up. It's going to be a little hard for me to determine that. Everything's liquid that I'm yanking on, so I'll have to be careful around here because I'm getting close to some resistors. There. So I have all the pins. They should be all unsoldered now. I should just be able to yank them out one at a time and just sort of... A lot of them might just have to be left in there because they're too mangled. Garbage. Garbage. This one's a little bent to the side. I might be able to bend it back. So is that one. Those were the two I pointed out as probably good. They're a little off, but I don't think it's enough for me to just... They're unsavable. That one's still soldered on a little. So is that one. That one I can't even move. Might just be bent too much. That's not gonna work. Let me try my thicker tweezers. can't even reach in there with these. That one's still soldered on, that one's soldered on. That pin looks okay. Soldered. That one looks okay. Soldered, okay. So a couple of them I still have to sort of probe out a little. Okay, that one's free. I'll see if I can bend that one back. Some of these are like just a little crooked. I don't think that automatically makes them just completely unsalvageable though. I guess that's one way to take out a pin. Let it fall out the front. Okay, let me get a microscope. I don't know what I want to do with these pins yet. I might just put them in a little baggie and just say, here's some spares that I might be able to use. I'll bend at them when I need them, if I need them. Or I might just say, screw them, throw them all away type deal. Let me see exactly how my pads look. I don't see any evidence that I ripped up any traces, so I think I'm good in that front. I just want to take a look-see, liquefy all this solder, just sort of see what it all looks like. There was a lot of solder from the factory, like holy cow. Yeah, I mean, I don't see, like, the pad isn't ripped up. Everything still looks fine. Especially silver over here for some reason. I know these are ground pads over here, so they take a little more oomph to melt. But they all look good. I mean, they're still there. That's a start. So really, the only way I've found of doing this, it's not really that, it's probably not even the right way. It's the way that I know kind of works. It's just flooding everything with flux, heating it, and just sort of prying it up. If I'm having a hard time with the solder, I'll try and mix it with some of my solder. I'm not gonna do that yet, because I tried my solder sucker on these pins, but the through hole pins are just too big, so my solder sucker doesn't really get all that solder out very well. So it's gonna be a lot of, we'll be heating and levering essentially. Um, trying to think if there's a better way to do this. Board is very hot. I mean, I wonder if my main problem is I can't heat the entire slot at once. What I might be able to do is just heat up a section of it, or heat up these solder blobs and sort of pull them out. I might be able to soak up some solder with a wick, and then just try and get these points through. From there, I should be able to heat the back, and then just gently lift them up. Because if I have to like cut this port apart to remove every portion like piece by piece, I will. This game card slot is essentially garbage to me. I mean, I could probably reuse that metal shielding, just in case, like, if I can no longer buy game card slots anymore, which there was a time where you couldn't buy them. Now you can, but that might not be forever. So I'm not going to be able to get up all of this with the wick. I can get up quite a bit of it, though. I need to get a better, like, clamp on this with my... I know this kind of puts stress on the other solder joints on the other side of the board, but just try and be as careful as I can. Okay, hopefully that will do exactly what I wanted it to do. Close but no cigar. The solder points I would be stressing are these two big this mounted one right here. If I do that, push my dental pick in there and just sort of lever it out gently. Let it solidify. That one is free. This one's not. Okay, both of those are free through the holes. Should be at least. Okay, yes, all of those are free, so I have 4 solder joints left. Now, what I can do is heat this one up. I may not even need my hot air. So if I heat this pad up, this main mounting pad, I should just be able to lift up this cart with a game card slot sort of off to the side. Like that. Holy cow, okay. And then this one over here is 3 pads, which might not be that easy to heat up all at once. Try it. Let me try and soak up some of the solder that's on this mounting pad. There's just so much of it that as I'm lifting it up, it's still bridging to it. That actually might do it. Okay, cool. So I should be able to lift it up this mounting pad. Like that. Look at that. Wow. I mean, that went remarkably well. That went like far better than what it usually does. So let me grab a good thick thing of wick. I could have probably used the other one I just threw away. You know what, I'll grab it. Again, there's still a little more. Not really. Let me get my wick and just soak up all of this solder. I don't want any of it. Let me flux everything up again. Might have to use a sucker to get it out that through hole. Wow, these mounting pads are sticky. They grab onto a lot of heat. Oh, did I get that one? Yes, I did. Cool. Might be lucking out here. Let me try the other side. Might need to flex this side, actually. Hang on. Then I'll go over my work with a magnifying glass, or my microscope. There we go. Wow, that went remarkably smooth. That went a lot smoother than the last time I've done this. Get it cleaned off. Get all the old flux off. Because there is a lot of old flux. I need to get more rubbing alcohol. Get some rubbing alcohol in there to start eating away at that flux. Oh, gee willikers. Okay. So yeah, because the last time I did this, I didn't take the pins off. I was thinking maybe I could just heat the entire thing from the back and just sort of lever it off. What ended up happening is I could only get a portion of these pins heated. So when I did end up finally taking the game card slot off, it ripped off like 2 or 3 traces over here on the right hand side. And I'm like, gosh darn it. All I really needed to do was just take the time, undo all of the pins, and it should be a pretty easy uninstall. And I mean, I just proved that, so. I was able to repair those traces. It wasn't bad. I just ripped the pads off. So I was able to run a small wire and UV glue it. I don't think I recorded that one. Because I think it was more just me sort of repairing motherboards just off screen, just for fun. Watching something, probably Star Trek. Brush. Where are you, brush? Here you are. Okay. I think I'm ready to look at it. Looks fine from what I can see, at least. I think this is all rubbing alcohol. Okay. So we have the 2 through-hole pins. Got as much flux or solder as I could off of them. Nice. They're all the way cleaned out. This one still has a little bit of solder on it, but I mean the through hole itself is all the way through. I'm not worried about that, because I'm going to be adding a whole hell of a lot of solder there anyway. A little bit of residue of flux, and it looks like I kind of singed the edge of the board a little. Kind of a consequence of using hot air. at least that I've noticed. But it's still there, the pad is still there, no signs of it being ripped off. Here the mounting pad and these 2 pins look good. Still have a little bit of solder on them, but I mean, they're not the most important. Here's all the game card slot pins, couple blobs of solder, but that shouldn't matter, and the other mounting pad. Well, neato. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I don't know what's on this capacitor. Oh, it might be an edge of a fiber of my brush. Let me grab a game card slot. When I saw these things on AliExpress, I think I ordered like 15 of them, because this is the first time I've seen a game card slot pop up on AliExpress in like the couple years that I've been doing this. I haven't really been like keeping an active eye out, but I know when I looked several times I could never find them. This should... Hey, look at that. I have a baggie now for that I can put the pins in. Let me get rid of my microscope feed. I'll add this to my parts pile. And then as far as this is concerned, I mean, the slot itself is fine. I have no way, I don't know how I can put that little, there's supposed to be like a little piece in there that acts as the mechanism. So there's nothing grabbing onto it when you hear that? It is in there. So, that was weird. It wasn't clicking before. That is very strange. So I guess this game card slot's probably fine. Aside from, I mean, all the pins. That was weird. When I was pressing it, it wasn't clicking. I wonder if it was, like, stuck or something. I mean, oh well. I didn't destroy this game card slot. I can still use it. I'm just going to have to sort of repopulate it with pins. And you could make the argument that just because of how many pins were just completely unusable, it's just better just to put a brand new slot on it. Curious. Very curious. I was not... Because I was thinking maybe somebody, when they were taking this, or when the slot got mangled like that, all the pins got mangled, that just something was like jammed into the game card slot and just completely screwed it. But, I mean, I'll save it. Maybe I can put this on a console that has a bad slot, but the pins are okay. I want to just replace it, you know? I have this slot, all the pins are perfectly aligned, I don't have to bend them. Brand new, it looks amazing. I mean, look at all those pins in there, nice and straight. We'll see, we'll just play that by ear. So this should just pop on. Get it through the through holes. Yeah, that is beautiful. Ooh, that is nice. That is a nice fit. Like a glove. You would never know that was different. So what I'm gonna have to do is sort of hold on to this, almost like clamp it down. I'm trying to think of if there's a way I can put it in my vise. I think holding it is probably just gonna be the best. What I can do, and then I just have to put a little bit of solder on these mounting pins. Just a little bit, enough to hold it in place, and then I can solder on all 4 of the mounting pins. And I shouldn't have to worry about it being like, oh god, my Tower O screens is falling. Okay. Okay. That's on there pretty good. I'm gonna get these other mounting pins on, and then I'll just flood them all with solder. Gravity will help me on this one. It's a big, thick joint. There we go. Since I'm already over here, I'll get these, I'll put a little more on that mounting pin. Perfect. And then I'll get these two pins that are over here. For some reason they're bent up just a little bit. That shouldn't matter. I'll just flood it with solder and they'll cover the gap. Should be good. Swing back over to this side. I have enough on that mounting pin. The through-hole pins I did not put much on. I just needed enough to keep it in place. Keep everything in place. Now, sort of one at a time, I can sort of flood them a little better. That's a lot more like it. Alright, now the all-important game card pins. I almost kind of want to watch this with a microscope. Ooh, this will be so satisfying. Get a good fat line of flux on there. I don't know if that's enough solder I have on my iron. No, not even close. I just don't want to do too much. Ooh, now we're talking. I think these end pins are ground, so they just eat heat. And I don't think them bridging together is a problem. But I do want... There we go. Be careful about these resistors that are right below me. And this last pin's gonna be ground. I need to get a little more flux in there. Just try and help it. It's like when the solder is solidifying on my iron, this thing is draining heat. And it really isn't the best angle for this tip, but it's what I gotta work with. I mean, that looks good enough. I won't complain about that. It's on there, so... Well, fantastic! Those are all on there really nicely. We'll see if there's any touch-ups I need to do here. But I mean, visually speaking, it all looks really good. Everything's on there nicely. Okay. Now to clean it all. See if it all works. Which I dare say, I did a good job. So let's get this off. Gonna pre-soak everything. Make sure to clean out the slot good. Well, the slot's brand new. I just don't think any, hopefully no flux kind of creeped up in there. And I mean, the only thing I really need to test is just to make sure that the digitizer is actually bad and it's not an issue with the motherboard. If it is an issue with the motherboard, that is a first for me. Because what I was finding out when I was working on this component down here, component U4, is it's actually responsible for touch input. Like, I don't know if it's just relaying the touch input to the main CPU or sort of digitizing it in some way. going from analog to digital. Maybe that's handled by this U8 or U8. Is that U8 or is that U6? That's U6. Just say I don't really quite understand that circuit very well. How, like, or even really understand how touch is sort of interpreted and translated from the digitizer to the actual game control as like an input. Like it could fire off that signal, a digital signal, over to the whatever component is responsible for registering touch input, which could be one of the components under here. Don't know, and right now, I'm not going to say I don't really care, but I'll care if there's a problem. I'm probably going to want to get a new paper towel. But I just really want to make sure this is all really nice and cleaned. Looking pretty good so far. I mean, I'll get away with just folding it over like this for now. I'll just have to throw it away at the end of the day. Let me go at it with one more Q-tip, and I think I'm good enough to test. But I am very pleased with this. Very pleased. Just a shame it's unlaunched, really. I mean, at this point, there's really no reason not to unlaunch your console. It just sort of adds more variables. The language patcher has been kind of a nuisance that I've been having to deal with. It's helpful on the Japanese consoles, but when you're trying to diagnose weird issues, it just adds another variable. Okay, yeah, I'm very pleased with that. Let's get it back into its console. Let me just test out this touchscreen, or I'm just going to swap this touchscreen with another one. Let's just say this one has a bad digitizer. That digitizer has a dead zone. There's this one. I did mark it as bad. I think it's just because it's scratched. I won't risk it. I need to find a good one. This one is probably good, just scratched. I'll probably have to X it off. When I put that X on it, it's just to say, don't use this digitizer, or replace it. Either do the cosmetic or, like, physical damage. Oh, I guess I don't need to do it from there. I was grabbing it like I was assembling a testing rig, but I don't want to do that. I want to re-put it back into its shell. Before I get too far, I might want to go wash my hands. I got some flux on it, and it's just kind of tacky. What I get for not wearing gloves, but I know for a fact that I'm not going to be as tactile as I would be with gloves. I wouldn't be able to be as precise and accurate. Now, it'll be interesting doing a game card slot test on this. I don't think I've done one on one I replaced. I don't think I did one on the one I replaced previously. I think I just made sure it read a game card and then just said, well, that's good enough. More thorough testing will come later. Let me put a couple screws in. I'm not going to fully commit to this yet. I'm going to sort of loosely fit everything together. I'll put all the motherboard screws in. I am fairly confident in my job that I just did. It looks very good. But I will always leave that little room for error. I do have to get the camera in, which I want to extend out the shell or open the console up. So I get more slack. Here it is. Okay. A little piece of something. Okay, got the shoulder buttons in. Let me confirm it works, and then I'll run and wash my hands, and then I'll get on with the testing. I mean, I wonder how much the test matters if it's in whatever launcher. I am testing components. I never actually really thought about that, but let's just slot in Mario Kart. Voila, Mario Kart. Cool. So I need to get the shell together. I need to put all those screws in, so I will be right back. Okay, that's a little better. My fingers aren't as tacky. Let me get some of this solder stuff out of the way. Turn off my iron in my hot air station. Okay, let's get this all reassembled. Yeah, I don't think the launcher really matters because I can do all the tests in English and it should be fine. I mean, this is not to sort of throw shade at the person who made the language patcher. It's brilliant and it works surprisingly well. Well, I guess I can't even say that. It works very well in ways that I don't think I could understand. But like I said, it does kind of just muddy everything up if I run into issues. Because then it could be any number of variables. Okay, let me get this on. I think it's been auto-booting into the language patcher, which I'll do that. Just, it's English, it'll be a little easier for me to navigate. So let's do the tester now. Oh, okay. I don't have touchscreen at all. Alright. Let me go into the Japanese launcher. Which is, that one's English, that one's Japanese. This shouldn't matter. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. What the heck? I don't think this was a dead digitizer. Oh, yeah, well, I'm missing a few steps here. Let me just make sure I'm pretty sure I plugged the thing in. There's no way my efforts to change out the game card slot would have impacted its ability to take touch inputs. That seems a little ridiculous. Oh, it'd help if I plugged it in all the way. I don't think I had it in all the way. Let me check it now. Huh, weird. I thought I seated that fully, but... Okay, that's better. Now we can go forward. Huh, weird. I think maybe when I thought I put it in all the way, it just sort of gave me a false positive. Strange. The shoulder button's plugged in. Alright, now let's try it. Let me go into the touchscreen test and see if it will... I mean... this is annoying. So now it's only registering inputs over here, so I think this digitizer is bad. And I just didn't really label it very well. I haven't had a digitizer fight me like this before. Let's get it back apart. Let me grab a digitizer from a actually known good digitizer. Like one that's in my selection of parts that I'm ready to slot into refurbed consoles. And I mean, or ones that I've confirmed that the digitizer works. This one has vignetting, so the LCD is bad, with all due respects. But the digitizer is good. Digitizer connector feels fine. Unlatching like I would expect. And I can't quite jump to the conclusion that it's hardware. At least not right now. Well, aside from the digitizer hardware. That is in. I know that. So I got enough to components to test it. I just need to know if I can get a calibration. Oh, huh. I actually registered my touch input in the right spot. Okay, so far so good. Let me go into my tester, which I didn't use my DSP code, which is a little strange. Same applications. Okay, so this is just a bad digitizer. Good to know. Now that I got that figured out, let me finally screw this thing back together. Get the motherboard screws in. Because once I start working on the game card, testing the game card slot, which, I mean, it's brand new, so I might not be as thorough as I usually am. Because it would be very strange for a brand new, unmolested game card slot to show issues. Alright. Finally, we are to a point to where I can finally get to testing. Let me update my notes. Bunged game card slot. Replaced. I won't mention the touchscreen since that's sort of a other issue. Or a more of a like a modular issue with the screen itself. So for the testing, I'll be using the same reference sheet I use for my refurbished consoles, which will be this row down here. So I'll be starting with motherboard and power board, and I've kind of already displayed that to a certain extent. Console turns on, and I was able to go into the settings menu. Now it is unlaunched and has a language patcher, so it is a bit unusual. Like, I need to write down that it's running 1.4.5J. So it'll be a little weird, like it's running Japanese firmware, but it's all in English, so... And it also takes a little bit longer to boot. Next is tactile buttons. I'll use my DS Pico for that. Soft reset the console, and it should auto boot into it, maybe. I don't know if the language patcher will... Oh, okay, it will. I have an application that will test all of the face buttons, shoulder buttons, things of that sort. It should become kind of apparent here in just a second why I like using this. So press all the face buttons a few times. Face buttons I'm not worried about, they tend to always be fine. Shoulder buttons tend to be the problems, which... R button kind of had a problem there at the beginning, but seems to be okay now. How long has it been since these buttons have been pressed? Maybe kind of contributed to why it was kind of struggling there at the beginning, but... Both shoulder buttons seem to be okay now. I'm not going to touch... So my next test is touchscreen. I'm not going to do that test. I already confirmed that this touchscreen works. Just that the screen is vignetting, and kind of what I mean by that is the corners are starting to darken. These two corners specifically. And it's just going to get worse. Just there's going to be like a creeping darkness that just comes in from all the corners, and it's just not worth. Or my understanding is vignetting is just terminal, a terminal problem, and me getting notifications, so the screen won't get any better. Don't know exactly what is causing vignetting. If there are parts I can harvest, like maybe it's just the backlight's going out. Swap the backlight, the LCD display is still good. Or maybe it's the LCD display that's going bad and I can harvest the backlight out of it. Don't know enough yet. It's definitely a problem for another day. So next is speaker, microphone, and headphone jack. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to combo that with an SD card slot test. What I should do is also an image retention test, which I can't exactly... It would only be testing the top screen. I won't worry about it. Top screen has a little bit of yellowing, but not bad enough that I wouldn't use it. And see what that notification was about. What the heck? Okay, so test the microphone. This will also be my ability to test the volume buttons, because that tactile button tester doesn't have test for the volume, and it can kind of be a little subjective whether or not the volume is increasing or decreasing. I guess it is kind of a dramatic up and down, but volume buttons work. Microphone. La 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 la. Microphone works. Now for the SD card slot, it sees my card, as well as the piece of music that's on there. I don't think yeah. So then what I'll do is, here they are. Play the music, listen to both channels, plug in my earbuds, listen to both earbuds, see if all of that's working. Yep, that all worked just fine. Next is cameras. Yeah, I guess using the bottom screen probably isn't that good of an idea. Like, you can see the darkening is really bad. It's also flickering, which doesn't really help, but the image looks good enough, at least for a DSi. I don't see any artifacting aside from what the vignetting is sort of creating. Artifacting in the cameras are usually pretty obvious. At least a couple bunged up ones that I've seen. So next is charge port. I have my USB tester right here. Let me sort of plug it in. Both the system is responding, both software and hardware. It's also pulling a charge. Close it. Jiggle around the charge port. Now it is disconnecting. I need to see where it's sort of disconnecting. It could just be the little pins in there need to be bent. And then just sometimes it works itself out. Let's see, because I didn't really look at the charge port too closely, but it looked fine. Yeah, solid. Try bending those pins up a little. Oh, I got a little bit of solder on my needle. Should just pick off, I hope. Not I'll have to get solder wick on it. Problem for later. Okay, that seemed to work. If I kind of shake it from side to side kind of aggressively, it will cut out there for just like a second. I almost can't even replicate it that well. So yeah, I think that's really all that was needed. Okay, game card slot is the last one. Now, brand new game card slot, so this better be good. But I'll grab a couple cards. I think the only thing I'm worried about is if there's any like flux residue on the pins. But what I'll do is slot in the game card like normal, pops up. I'll put a bit of pressure on it, jiggle it from side to side, and then sort of push it down into the game card slot to try and get it to disappear. So I just ejected it. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of my explanation here, but I'll keep pushing it down until I hear the game card eject, like the mechanism engage to eject the game card. I just heard it. And then for fun, I push it all the way down until it bottoms out in the game card slot. From there, it's a point of no return. It's coming out. I do that a couple times to see if I get the game card to blip out just for like a half second. So far, every time it's disappeared is because I've ejected it. And then after that, I bang it against my open hand to see if it see if the game card disconnects. In this case, the console shut off, which can be a battery issue. Let me try that one more time. I haven't had that happen in a while, so that was a bit jarring. Oh, weird. Okay. So I'm mainly doing that for the game card slot, but see if the game disappears there for a second. Okay, I think I'm only going to test 3 game cards. Again, it's a brand new game card slot, and it's behaving exceptionally, as I would expect something to be brand new. So that's all the tests I performed. It performed very well. So put in my notes that I replaced it with a new slot. Passed all tests. Right on. I'll get the motherboard disassembled and... Or not the motherboard, the entire console disassembled. Call that a win. A successful game card slot replacement? Oh, I'll take it. I'll happily gain more experience on this. And this console does need a cleaning. Ooh, got some stickies on there. Here they are. Grab my little carrier O screws. Put all my shell screws in. Last but not least, the wee little lad, which I have another spot for. I'll get the bottom shell disconnected or disassembled here in a second. Just since I have this little slot in my screw holder open, I'll grab the rest of these size screws. Okay, and the black screws go in here. Did I just like throw that? I must have rebounded off the back. Okay. That worked just fine. Start preparing an area I can put all this stuff in. I'll just sort of mesh all this with my parts. I have enough parts for sale on the moment. And this bottom screen can go back into my area of good digitizer vignetting. So then I can harvest the digitizer off of it to put it onto a good LCD display and use that. Get this motherboard. Over here. Wouldn't hurt to clean those. Actually, those aren't that bad. Those face button membranes tend to take quite a bit of a brunt of the dirtiness. I mean, it is a little bad around the ABYX. Nothing unusual though. Let's get this disassembled. Complement of gold screws. Love to see it. Oh, come on. There's a pretty good stick pad under there. Double-sided tape. A little bit of rubbing alcohol can't fix. All right. Needs cleaning. Put those in there. Good, cleaning. These all will be good. All right, top screen. And this shell's in pretty okay shape. There's some good scratches right there on the glossy piece, but I mean, other than being a little dirty, I mean, it's not much of a compliment to say I've seen much worse, but I have seen better. So it's just kind of in that middle ground. Okay, let's get these antennas out. Ugh, something I like about the DSi is, unlike the new 3DS, is I can remove the Wi-Fi antenna without the screen being in the way, without all the screen ribbons. Or, no, it's actually the physical display because it's routed underneath the display. And when I'm dealing with a screen, I really don't like dealing with a very stiff wire rubbing up against my ribbon cables. Alright. Poke this hinge out. I think I need to clean the end of this pick because I have solder flux on it from when I removed the game card slot. Not too terribly surprising, but... So I need that little metal ring to stick onto the upper screen assembly. Which it isn't, so I have to persuade it. And they're pretty good. All right. Now, I don't think it's necessarily attached to the upper display assembly, but it is free from the bottom, which is really all I need it to do. Now I can yoink. Yoink. Should have gotten these out when I should have. Thankfully, they're really easy to spot on my floor. Unroute the wires for the speakers. Okay, those are all good. Coil this up. Kind of let the ring hold on to the coil. Grab a plastic pry tool, slice away the little bit of adhesive that they have around the screen. A little more on the bottom. Just to free it from the shell, and then through some careful wiggling and pinching. Voila, we are free. There's like this weird pink gem on the bottom of this. Huh. And voila. I'll write on the screen that there's some edge yellowing, but nothing really too crazy. So, that's it for that.